Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to the Division Series Preview Edition, Batter Up, Sports Insanity Network, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. Mike Rifkin, Danny Boy Reginald with you. Dan, good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mike Rifkin, on this fabulous playoff day in Major League Baseball?
I am excited. The
Yes,
word of the day is excited. And listen, I love the Major League Baseball playoffs. I think they're the second best playoffs in all of sports
thank
behind
you.
the NHL.
And that's fine. That's fine. You can have that
But,
opinion.
but I'm even more excited based on what happened Thursday night
Mm.
in Milwaukee. We
Yeah.
will dive into it as the New York Metropolitans will play later this afternoon against the Philadelphia Phillies. Three of the four divisional series game, three of the four divisional series are actually division series.
Right.
You got the Tigers and the Guardians, the Mets and the Phillies, and then the Dodgers and the Padres. And in the middle, you got the Yankees and the Royals, which, by the way, classic 70s rivalry.
Mhm.
So we got history going on. Oh, Dan, it's going to be an absolutely wonderful day of baseball.
Dude, you have no idea how pumped up I am about these playoffs, man. And may I say, for all the Met fans out there who are just so pumped up and ready to go, this is house money for you.
Mm-hmm.
House money, 100%. And fact of the matter is, the fact that you're in the division series is already a tremendous season. But I can't wait to see what else y'all do because
And we got the cherry on top with the announcement that came yesterday, which we will get to in a minute. Let's just dive into it because Thursday night, the Mets and the Brewers played game three of the wild card series. It was the only game three because, of course, the that's how the Mets roll.
right.
So the Brewers hit back-to-back home runs off of Jose Butto in the seventh, Jake Bowers, and Sal Frelick. The Brewers have been cruising with their bullpen. Ninth inning, Devin Williams, who's one of the league's best closers, leads off the inning by walking Francisco Lindor in a tremendous at bat. Struck out Mark Vientos. Brandon Nimmo gets a base hit. So there are runners on first and third with one out, with who coming to the plate? Nobody else but Pete Alonso. And if you're on Twitter or if you listen to talk radio, everyone has ripped Pete Alonso for having a quote down year, although 33 home runs is really not a down year. Pete Alonso's had a bad year in the clutch, but it didn't matter. He erased all the bad vibes with a ball hit to right field that just cleared the fence, giving the Mets a 3-2 lead. But you couldn't write a better script. And then bottom of the ninth, the Mets turned to David Peterson
Yep.
to shut the door because Edwin Diaz came in to relieve Jose Butto. David Peterson got the job done. The Mets win 4-2 after a Starling Marte hit as well in the ninth inning, and the
Yep.
Mets
And,
advanced to play the
and how about
Philadelphia
and
Phillies.
how about him, Marte bringing in Jesse Winker, who emphatically
I
threw his
love Jesse
helmet
Winker.
down and stuck it up the asses of all of Milwaukee because they booed him. Willie Adamas says, "Hey, let's go out to the parking lot. Let's sell our business." You know,
Yep.
good for Jesse Winker, who's had a tremendous season, both with the Nationals and with the Mets. I don't know. I don't know if tremendous is the right word, but he's had a good season.
He,
Um,
he's had a massive impact on the Mets
Yes.
with his attitude and there's something about him. It's the emotion he plays with. It's everything else that just makes you go, you know what? I've said this online to a bunch of people. I'd
Yeah.
love for the Mets to bring back Jesse Winker. I don't know if he's on a 1 year or a 2 year contract, but
Right.
it's not going to crush you financially bringing him back. But man, the guys we do have to talk about though. We'll get to the Alonso thing in a second because you couldn't Hollywood couldn't write that better. But
Wow.
the guy who started this whole thing off was Francisco Lindor, and he's
Right.
been the catalyst for this team all
Oh, yeah.
year long.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. Listen, if Otani didn't exist, he's your MVP winner.
Right.
But he's more than just the most valuable Met. He is the heart and soul of the New York Mets. He's the guy. And listen, I said you slap the C on Pete if you're able to resign him, which they should. We'll get into that in a second too. But Francisco Lindor is that dude. There's just a calming presence. I actually think the 2 years of him being with Buck Showalter actually helped him.
Yes.
And man, he's had an I don't think he pressed as much this year as he has in years past, but phenomenal year. Culminated with that walk in the ninth inning off of Devin Williams, in a spot where a walk is as good of a hit as a hit.
Amen.
All right.
Well, here's what I liked about those at bats from Lindor, Nimmo, and then Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
They chased after Williams, who's been tremendous all season,
Yep.
and they battled him and made him force his changeup. And that's a huge thing. That was huge
It,
because his
it,
changeup is lethal.
yeah,
But they forced his changeup, and they didn't crack his bait with the fastballs and everything. So,
yeah, they forced him. They didn't chase, and that's been a problem with this team when they're pressing. They love to chase,
mhm.
and in particular in big spots, that's Pete Alonso. He chases. I think he gets caught up in the moment and he chases. He didn't chase on Thursday night. He got a head in the count 3-1, and he got a pitch that he could drive to right field,
Yeah.
which is something when Pete Alonso is on right, he's using right field and he's using right center field. That shot, that's the monkey off Pete's back.
Mhm.
And by the way, if that's the thing that gets him going, Philadelphia, look out. But man, I can't say enough about Pete Alonso because to me, I was like I said before, Hollywood can't write a better script. But the other
Yes.
part of me was like, forget everything else that's happened this year. That's the moment where you say, you know what? I've got to make Pete a Met for life. Because this is a franchise that does not have many iconic home runs.
Right.
You have Todd Pratt in the 99 LCS. You have Piazza after 9/11. You want to go back in the day too. That's the moment where you said, that's Pete's moment.
Yeah.
Mm, unbelievable. It was,
Crazy stuff.
oh,
Crazy stuff. And definitely one of the best Mets moments in Mets playoff history, if not Mets history.
100%. And then the other three quick credits. Jose Quintana was awesome. 6 shutout innings. Starling Marte put together some great at bats throughout the series, not just game three, throughout the series. And you know what? I got to give him credit. Edwin Diaz, as much as he struggled against Atlanta in that first game,
Yeah,
he wasn't perfect on Thursday, but he didn't give up a run. And
right.
that was the most important thing. Kept his team in the game.
The truth is, the Mets are a much better team than a lot of people thought. I knew they were going to make the playoffs. I just didn't think it'd be like, this crazy twisting and turning and all that stuff. But that's just the case with the Mets this season. So no, I'm stoked for you and all the Met fans out there. Y'all deserve this.
Yeah, but
Wow.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get into the series with the Phillies in a little bit. Um, talk about all the other series too. Let's start with the first game we got today because we got the Guardians and the Tigers. That'll be the I think it's a 1 o'clock game.
Mhm.
This season, the season series, Cleveland won 7 of the 13 games, which, by the way, very even Steven. You look at it. So, but the Tigers are coming in the hottest team in
Yeah.
baseball. What they did to the Astros in game 2 against Ryan Presley and Josh Hader, unreal. And they've got a manager in AJ Hinch that knows what it's like to win in the playoffs.
And that's huge for them. Yes. Now, of course, you know, we we've been all over this AJ Hinch, because of how he's turned around this franchise. And let's be real, he's turned around this franchise. There's
Mm-hmm.
no question about it. Um, but now it's about, seeing what the Tigers can do against the Guardians, who are a tough team. Um, but they're on a massive hot streak, this Detroit team. And they're down the stretch. They were absolutely terrific over the last like 40, 50 games. Like they've been pretty good. So hitting's coming in. Obviously, you have Scooble, who is obviously well on his way to a Cy Young award. So Tigers, they're rolling right now. They're rolling right now, and you don't want to sleep on them. That's a mistake that you don't want to make if you're Cleveland.
And I don't think you can sleep on them, especially after what they just did to the Astros. But this is a young team. They kind of remind me a little bit of last year's Diamondbacks in the sense of they're young, they're not really supposed to be here, but they also don't care about your feelings
Right.
in the sense of, hey, we don't care if you don't think we don't belong. We're going to prove it to you that we do belong. That's why I love what AJ Hinch has done. Uh, they're going to need their big bats to go in this series. But listen, they're they're very similar to the Mets. They're kind of playing with house money here too.
Yeah.
All the pressure's on Cleveland. I do before we get into Cleveland, I do want to go into the Astros just for a second here. Um, because of what happened. We do know Alex Bregman's going to be a free agent. Justin Verlander's already said he's not retiring. So he
But how much? Uh, my question with the Astros is this. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
no, go for it.
Um, this is this is obviously second year in a row they don't make a World Series run. They don't make it past the wild card this year, which I told Bill on Sports Insanity podcast. That's like 5 steps back for this Astros team. I know technically, if you want to count, it's actually 2 steps back. I say this is 5 steps back because I don't know what Astros team I'm getting next year.
Right. That's the question because
No,
Bregman and Verlander, those are going to be big questions that are going to have to be answered.
yeah,
And if they're not back, how do you replace those guys? Although they had so many pitchers hurt that the Verlander thing may or may not matter, depending on how you go. Bregman's the interesting one
yeah.
because I think he was a former second overall pick, franchise icon. Very interested to see what happens there with Bregman and the Astros. But for the first time in 8 years, the Astros won't be playing in the ALCS. And so we'll see what happens with the Astros over the winter.
And look, I think I think the Astros as we knew it are gone.
They could be. They could be. I'm not counting them out just yet.
They can retool. I think the Astros are a smart organization where they can retool.
Mhm.
Probably look, they already have made the World Series last 2 years. Didn't even make the ALCS or even the division series this year. So they can obviously retool and then come back maybe in a year or two and be just as effective and just as dangerous in Major League Baseball. But the Astros we knew it's gone. There's just no way that the team that was so spicy and spunky and all that stuff. Goodbye.
All right. So that's who the Tigers eliminated today. Divisional matchup for the Tigers. They go to Cleveland. They play the Guardians, who
Mm.
every year I want to say they surprise us. So I'm not even going to say they surprised us this year, but
Yeah.
they are still. They make contact and they pitch really well. And like the Tigers, if they have a lead late, that bullpen is lethal.
Mm.
But we all know who the star of the show is. That's Jose Ramirez. He crushed the Tigers this year. He had 347, 5 homers, 12 RBIs. And in the playoffs in his career, he listen, and part of this is because he is the biggest threat in that lineup. He's hitting 242 in the postseason with 2 homers, 12 RBIs.
Right.
If Cleveland's going to make a run, they need their best player to be their best player,
Mhm.
and that is Jose Ramirez.
They need him obviously for the hitting
Yeah,
because that's been their offense pretty much is Jose Ramirez. Obviously everyone's joined the party, but nothing like what Jose Ramirez has done all season.
yeah.
And they need him big time. And you know that's the key for Detroit is how do you get him out? How do you make him not be as productive as he has been throughout the regular season? How do you get him out?
And if you're Cleveland, the other key is can someone hitting behind him
Mhm.
produce?
Yeah.
Josh Naylor had a really nice year for them. Lane Thomas, who they acquired from Washington at the deadline,
Lane
he's
Thomas
been,
is always he's a been great hitter.
yeah. So he's been really good for them. Cleveland is just this mishmash of guys, and they just find their way. Like Stephen Kwan doesn't look like a great baseball player.
Yeah, but he gets on
He hits
base.
300 in his sleep.
Gets on base. I know.
Oh man,
Oh my God.
yeah. So that's game one of the American League. The other American League divisional series, and you can tell by Dan's gear who it is. We got the Yankees and the Royals, and Game one's tonight in the Bronx. Garrett Cole on the mound for the Yankees. Michael Waka on the mound for the Kansas City Royals. And then I believe it's going to be Carlos Rodon and Cole Reagans on Monday because for
Yeah.
some reason the American League gets an off day on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't like the way baseball does its schedules. I think it's stupid.
Yeah,
Um,
give the National League the day off. The Mets can actually use it.
exactly. Now, what I will say about it is for the American League,
Mm-hmm.
the days that they have off, it actually gives them a chance to go with the three-man pitching rotation
Mm-hmm.
than having to expand to a fourth guy or maybe have an opener. Like,
Oh, the Aaron Boone special, the opener.
exactly. Which I'm really nervous about for game three because right now they don't know if it's gonna be Luis Hill or Clark Schmidt. Like, you know, I think it'll be Clark Schmidt. It has to be.
And put Heel in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I'm going to say this. I want your thoughts on this because I've listened to people say this. With the Astros being out and the Orioles getting bounced by the Royals, all of the pressure in the American League is on the Yankees to win it.
Yes. There's
The,
no excuse.
okay, you can go ahead and make the point.
There's no excuse. The pressure is on the Yankees because the two biggest threats to you were the Houston Astros, the playoff version of the Houston Astros, at least, and the Baltimore Fraud Orioles.
Okay, I'm
That's
coming for you in a minute, Baltimore.
though the Orioles and the Astros were the two biggest threats. They're gone. And now you have to go past the AL Central to win the American League pennant. The Yankees are better than Cleveland, and the Yankee, at least on paper, Yankees are better than Cleveland. On paper, they're better than the Royals. On paper, they're better than the Tigers. Now, they don't match up well with the Tigers. They match up pretty decently with the Guardians. And then the Royals, they beat them 5 out of 7 times.
Yep, 5-2.
So this, in theory, should at least get the Yankees to the World Series. If the Yankees don't make it past the division series, we need to have major conversations about management. And I know the Yankees definitely won't do that because that's just how they roll. But I am very concerned about this Yankee team if they don't make it to the championship series.
If the New York Yankees do not make it to the World Series, you said management. I'm going to say the manager.
Well, I'm saying everybody, they
Oh,
all gotta go.
listen, I won't dispute that. Brian Cashman's been there
Too
forever.
long. Too long.
And the only reason why I would say maybe they don't get rid of Cashman might be just because of, hey, we need a guy to have conversations with Scott Boras over Soto. That would be my only thing. I don't know how the Boris Cashman relationship or Boris Steinbrenner relationship is.
I get you.
But if Aaron Boone can't get to the World Series with this team in this setting,
Yeah.
he ain't your guy.
Path is clear.
But
The path is clear.
there is no traffic for the
Yeah.
Yankees here. Like they
And
should beat up the Royals, and then they got to beat up the winner of the Tigers and the Guardians. That should be as smooth of sailing as you should have. And listen, we this lineup, we know how good it is. Soto, career year. Judge, phenomenal year, going to win another MVP. Stanton's healthy. He smashes in the playoffs. They will miss Anthony Rizzo.
yeah. But they didn't have Anthony Rizzo all year.
Right.
So
That's where I was going.
yeah.
So, and apparently Verdugo's going to play left field today, not Dominguez. So There's that as well.
I don't understand why.
But
Why?
there's one other guy. There's a ton of pressure in the Yankees, and it's Garrett Cole. You got paid $354 million. Every time the postseason comes around, you have one start, Garrett Cole, where you come up small. You can't come up small this year.
Yeah, Garrett Cole from the start has to be good.
Yep.
Has to be good because I don't trust Rodon in game two. He's been very inconsistent all season. And then game three, I don't know what the plan is for game three. So those are two games that are already up in the air. But I have confidence in Cole in game one if he can obviously, get the
Well, he's
job.
the only guy you should have confidence in personally. Listen, Rodon had a nice bounce back year, but you're right, very inconsistent. Game three, whether it's Schmidt, whether it's Luis Hill, we don't know what to expect. And then, game four, it's whatever you're going to do, potentially. And then game five would be back to Garrett Cole or Rodon, depending on how they want to line it up.
Yeah. Now, if it's winner take all,
It's got to be Cole.
that'd be cool.
Well,
But
I'm just saying if they don't use Cole in game four.
but that's the thing. If the Yankees have a chance to advance in game four, I'm using Garrett Cole. I don't care. And then you just take your chances.
Yeah, game five, it's all hands on deck.
Yeah. Now, that might be a bit risky, but I would much rather get the job done. If you have a chance to get it done in game four, like I'm
Oh
sorry,
yeah, you don't want game five.
you don't waste that opportunity.
You
You gotta
you you
advance.
you do not want game five. No one wants game five.
Game five is horrible.
Game five is really not what anybody wants. Unless you don't have any rooting interest and you say, all right, get the popcorn ready. Game five is amazing. Oh, flip it quickly to the Royals, who won two one-run games in Baltimore. Reagan's was great in game one. Seth Lugo was good in game two for the most part.
Yeah.
But when you talk Royals, you're talking one guy, Bobby Witt Jr.
Mhm.
And again, like Otani in the National League, if not for Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt would have a very good argument to be your American League MVP this year.
Yeah. The eventually Bobby Witt's gonna be the best player in baseball. I don't know how long that's gonna take. I hope it doesn't take too long, but he's gonna be the best player in baseball eventually. Um, and he's already a tremendous hitter. Um, and that's really the only part that the Yankees have a disadvantage is at shortstop because he's better defensively and he's also better offensively. Um, no disrespect to Volpe or any of the shortstops that we use, but it that's just the case. And since he's such a good hitter, he's almost a guarantee to get on base. And that's a person that you really need to watch out for in the playoffs. But the thing is, we've never seen Bobby Witt in the playoffs yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how he's going to perform or anything.
Well, and that's the theme of this Royals team. They run.
Yeah.
They will run. They got a lot of guys who can run. They did get back Vinny Pasquantino, their
Yeah.
first baseman. He came back for the Baltimore series. That gives their offense a spark. They still have Sal Perez, who's one of the best catchers in all of
Love Salvia.
baseball.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, absolutely. I'm very intrigued by this matchup. Old school Royals Yankees. Take us back to the late 70s when disco was big. All right. So we got the Yankees, Royals. We flip it over. Actually, before we flip it, Orioles. Time for a little heart to
Frauds. Frauds.
time for a little heart to heart here, Baltimore. I'm very disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Not because you lost to the Royals, that's going to happen. But you should have won the American League East
Mhm.
because when the Yankees couldn't get their heads out of their asses,
Yeah.
you were busy playing, tweeting, twiddling with your thumbs, doing nothing about it. Then comes the trade deadline. And you have this great farm system because you have these great young players up. And the best move you could think of is getting Trevor Rogers from the Marlins.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? This was your year to go. I'm not saying all in, but you could have went big in because you have that farm system.
Hmm.
You have these young players. You have all of this going for you. Oh, by the way, like we say with the Yankees every day, this is your only guaranteed year one. So this was your only guaranteed year of C. Corbin Burns, who lost the game 1-0 in game one of the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go for it, you have to go for it because you are never guaranteed a trip back as good as you are. And
Yeah.
by the way, if you can go back in time, I'm sure you'd be more aggressive because of the Grayson Rodriguez injury, because of the other injuries you've had in that rotation. But it doesn't excuse you from the fact that you should have done it when you had the chance. And that is why Baltimore, you are one of the teams this winter that has an insane amount of pressure to go big, or you're just going to go home again.
Dave Rubenstein and Mike Elias need to come up with a plan this offseason for the Orioles because
100%.
it was a very disappointing season. And look, part of it could be, some of these players are very young. They don't know how to win because, they've only been to the playoffs once. And, you know, this version of the Orioles have not won a playoff game yet.
No.
So there's a lot of elements.
Well,
They have to get some winners. They started off right by getting Corbin Burns. That was a tremendous move. This past
now
off.
you got to bring him back.
Now you got to bring him back. And then you have to bring some other reinforcements with him
Yep.
to make this team better. Because as long as this team is together, one thing I've noticed, they don't win in big games. And that's a major, major, major problem.
And part of that is what you said. They're young, but you're right. They need some veterans in that room to help them.
Because and everyone, all these Baltimore fans, they're saying, "Oh, injuries, derail." No, no,
No,
because
your
the
general
team
manager
stinks.
failed you at the trade deadline.
Yes.
You want to use the injuries as an excuse? I'll live with some of it, but at the end of the day, you had an opportunity at the trade deadline.
Mhm.
You did not capitalize on your plethora of prospects that you have that are being blocked off by these young players. Who, by the way,
You're
you're gonna
not
have
going to
to
see
figure.
all. You're not going to see all of them.
Right, you can't play them all,
Yeah,
so utilize them in another way.
you know, I'm just stunned that this Orioles team did not do enough to bury the Yankees. Who, let's be honest, the Yankees were going nowhere. You know,
Mm-hmm.
talk about a tale of two seasons. The Orioles had a great opportunity at the All-Star break. Remember the All-Star break? The
Yep.
Yankees felt the Yankees, they were kicking your ass, and then you beat the Yankees in that
Play
extra
Holmes
inning,
game.
or was that they didn't go extra inning, went the bottom ninth. But like you know what I mean.
Yeah,
The Yankees took
Verdugo
the
slept
lead,
after a Volpier.
yeah, and then um, you had a golden opportunity to bury the Yankees coming back from the All-Star break, and all you did was struggled, and it was brutal, brutal.
They had 2 months basically to bury the Yankees, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that'll be forever be their downfall.
Yeah, and their downfall really started because even with the Orioles struggling, the Yankees were struggling too.
Yep.
So, they were struggling at the same time. When the Yankees got hot, right around August into September, that's when the tide turned.
I've always felt the tides turned at the trade deadline when they just didn't do enough.
Yeah, but the Yankees are still losing. So
No, no,
even
right.
then,
But I think that on top of
I, I see what you mean.
not doing anything, And how good did it do you? Trevor Rogers was sent to AAA at one point.
Horrible,
Oh,
horrible move.
all right. So the National League, we did dive into the Mets and the Phillies. We'll dive back into it in a minute. Well, let's start with the Padres and the Dodgers, though, because this one's got a lot of fun to it.
Yeah.
The
And
Padres
I
were
love
eight.
how the National League Division Series have regional rivalries, divisional rivalries.
Oh, there is nothing but good old fashioned hate in these two series.
Yeah.
The Padres were 8-5 against the Dodgers this year.
Mhm.
We know the Dodgers' issues with pitching this year
Yeah.
with the injuries. The
Yeah.
Padres will be down Joe Musgrove, though. He's going to undergo Tommy John surgery and
Yeah.
probably miss
That
all of
that
last
that
year.
that's a tough one for the
That
Padres
that's
because
a very tough one.
Musgrove, I can't say he's been great because he has struggled, but he's a good pitcher. We know he's a great pitcher.
And here's the other thing, because game one is going to be Dylan Cease.
Yes.
Game two, I believe, is going to be Darvish. Game three, I guess, now goes to Michael King, who was phenomenal in that game against the Braves the other night.
Yes.
And then that game four, you're going to have to, maybe it's back to Cease, who knows, but all of a sudden, but the Padres, I'm not worried about because they got this bullpen that's crazy freaking good, and everyone throws 100 coming out of it.
And Rifkin, let's be honest, the hitting's also good too.
Oh,
So
that lineup 1 through 9 is so deep.
so the Padres, I mean, look, I'm not shocked that they didn't win the division. I mean, it is what it is. The Dodgers, they're a good team too on paper. Um, but this Padres team, not to say that they don't have any concerns, but their concerns are not as big as the Dodgers' concerns.
No,
And that should be a massive plus for them.
well, yeah, the Dodgers have a lot of concerns. Yamamoto gets the ball, I believe, in game one. I believe they said Yamamoto. We don't know how many innings you're going to get out of him
Yeah.
because he just came off of injury. Flaherty's getting the ball in game two. He's been really good since he's come over. But then we're looking at game three. Is it Walker Bueller? Is it Bobby Miller? It's going to be Landon Knack. Who's it going to be in game three? And then who's it going to be potentially in game four? I think Bueller will get the ball in three. I don't know who gets the ball in four. But that being said, the Dodgers have another injury issue. Freddie Freeman's got this ankle.
Yeah.
And he said yesterday that this is a typical 4 to 6 week IL stint, and he's going to try to play through it. That is rough, Freddie Freeman.
But if Freddie Freeman is confident that he could play with this injury, don't you at least want to give it a shot? I mean,
Oh, 100%.
you
If
have
he,
you need your best players in the lineup.
oh, 100%. Listen, all I know is he's just not going to run out every ground ball.
and whatever. But if he can get on base, I mean, have good at bats.
No, I
That's the
don't
thing that
I
I
don't
would be
disagree.
more worried about is can he get on base?
I don't
Because he's
disagree
gonna be
with you.
grounders. Like he's screwed.
Right. Like I'm worried about him in the field. Like, can he run? Can he get over? Can he do things? How is he going to look running? Like these, because most teams would have the luxury of, all right, maybe we won't put you in the field. We could DH you, Freddie. Well, the Dodgers don't have that luxury because they got this Otani guy, who,
Yeah,
by the way, he's playing in his first ever playoff game. Way to go, Angels.
yeah. That's another thing. Like, we've never seen Otani in the playoffs. I'm sure he's gonna be phenomenal. He's a great hitter. Um, but that's another animal that I've never seen with the Dodgers yet. Now that you do have this great, you know, all worldly generational player, you know, is
Yeah.
that going to be the impact to your series? Is that going to be the difference?
Here's the thing for me on the Dodgers, outside of the pitch. When it comes to the lineup, it's Otani, Betts, Freeman, and then Teoscar Hernandez.
Mhm.
Who in the bottom part of this lineup is going to get the big hit? Because they're going to need one of these guys, whether it's Max Muncy,
Yeah.
whether it's Will Smith, or somebody else. Somebody's going to have to produce in the bottom part of this lineup. So I think it's Will Smith, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Um, so, as Rifkin was saying, um, massive concerns going on with the Dodgers in terms of the pitching. But I feel like the Dodgers can get away with it a little bit. They could get away with it if they hit well, if they get on base, if they produce runs. And that's going to be huge against this Padres team that doesn't have pitching concerns. So that's sort of where I'm at with that. But I mean, I'm telling you, if the Padres get onto the Dodgers hitting and the Dodgers pitching, I mean, the Padres hit well against the Dodgers pitching. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, it's going to be a rough time. It is going to be rough.
Yeah, and this lineup's deep.
You
They
know?
got to when they got to rise. That just lengthened out this lineup
Yeah.
because you go Arise, then you got Cronenworth and Machado and Tatis is healthy. Jackson Merrill's got a case for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Kyle Higashioka's hitting homers
Oh, but
against.
I told you about Higashioka too.
Yeah, like this lineup, there really isn't a weak point. Oh, so yeah, this series also could be a lot of fun. And I think for the Padres, you're looking at this going, well, we beat the Dodgers a couple of years ago in the playoffs. The pressure is still all on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Despite
Well,
all of their injuries and issues, all of the pressure is on the Dodgers because of the money they've spent.
yeah.
So, oh, this is going to be fun. All right. And then we got the Mets and the Phillies. And listen, again, Philly was 7-6 against the Mets, so basically it was even Steven. But
Let's take Amtrak from Penn Station
oh,
down
oh
to
man.
Philly. Let's go.
But we got the announcement yesterday from Carlos Mendoza, and
Mm.
I'm still stunned by who is pitching for the Mets today. Because my thought was originally going to be David Peterson threw 8 pitches on Thursday night. David Peterson's getting the ball. And Carlos Mendoza said these two words I never thought he would say. Kodai Senga, who threw 5 innings against the Atlanta Braves. That is the guy getting the ball in game one of the National League Division Series. And my instant reaction was, huh? Who? Excuse me? And my second reaction, Dan, was, all right, you know what? Let's freaking go. Kodai Senga's getting the ball in game one of the division series.
I think Mendoza is expecting. He has a lot of confidence in his team.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's throwing out Senga. I think he has a lot of confidence in thinking that this is going to be a longer series than a lot of people think, because the Mets do match up well with Philly. They do. So I think he's expecting that the Mets are going to make this probably going to go to the distance. The
Yeah.
problem that we're running into is that this Philly team has been there, done that. Same manager, mostly the same players. Um, and they know how the playoffs work. They had big moments in the playoffs.
And to further that point, this is a Met team outside of 2022 where they played 3 games. There's not a lot of playoff experience here.
Yeah.
Lindor and JD Martinez, those are your playoff guys who've been deep in the playoffs.
Mhm.
For Philly, up and down, everyone's got big playoff experience. And so it's going to be very telling. You got Senga versus Zach Wheeler today. Game 2 tomorrow will be Luis Severino against Christopher Sanchez. Based on what Rob Thompson goes, he expects Citi Field to be basically a madhouse in game
Yeah.
3. So he'll go with Nola in game 3. So, I mean, for the Mets, there are 2 guys for the Mets that are going to crush them in this, that could crush them in the series. Bryce Harper, who crushes them all the time. And he's been a great playoff player, 276, 16 homers, 31 RBIs. And Kyle Schwarber, who has 18 career home runs against the Mets. If you can get through those 2 guys, listen, I know Trey Turner's great. Bohm's had a good year. If you don't let Schwarber or Harper beat you, I actually think the Mets have a chance. I still think they have a chance.
Yeah.
But, I mean, oh, I got to see who carries it over from Milwaukee.
If if they could steal a game in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to make a massive difference, because then at the very least you're going to have one game. So it's probably going to be 1-1, right? Because Philly's going to get one game. You're going to go back to Citi Field in a rocking Mets crowd, and you already took a game from the Phillies. You know the Mets are going to really, really feel like they have a chance here. So
You're right, if the Mets steal one here in Philly and they go back to Citi Field to 1-1, I'm feeling very good as a Met fan.
yeah, I mean, you should already feel good,
Oh,
but
I'm feeling great. Are you
in
kidding?
terms of winning the series,
Oh,
massive.
listen, I think they got a great chance to win this series.
Yeah, it's about how do you allow crowd. Yeah, no, let me get my words right, Danny boy. How do you allow doubt to creep in for this Phillies team?
Yeah. And here's the thing, and Evan Roberts on WFAN here in New York brought it up perfectly on his show. The Mets are what the Phillies have been the past couple of years. The Phillies were the wild card team, and they
Exactly.
knocked out the Atlanta Braves in the
Yeah.
divisional round. The Mets have that opportunity to be the Phillies.
Hmm.
So,
Beat them at their own game.
exactly. I am nervous. I am ecstatic
Hmm.
all at once. All I could sit here and say, though, is let's freaking go, Mets.
Yeah, I'm pumped up for you guys. You have no idea how excited. I have a lot of Met fans in my life, including you. So many of our old college folks as well.
Ah, the old
So
college folk.
I remember those days when the Mets made the World Series, how excited they were then.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I'm from Queens, so you know that's Mets country.
That is
Um,
Mets country.
so you know, all Mets fans in my life, I am so pumped for you guys. Um, and you know, let's see if y'all can beat the Phillies. The Phillies are a tough team.
Yeah.
They are not gonna go. They're not gonna go down quietly. They're gonna make
Nope.
it a series. You know, Rob Thompson. One of the things I will give credit to Thompson, even though he has not won the World Series yet. One of the things I will give him credit is that this Phillies team is always ready. They are
Yes.
always ready to go. You know, they're not. They don't make any excuses, and they come up in big moments.
Yeah. Well, the I forgot which game it was of the LCS 2 years ago. Bryce Harper, big spot. What does he do?
Yarmers.
Homers. He
Mm-hmm.
homers. So
Reese Hoskins against the Braves.
Reese Hoskins was, he doesn't
Yeah.
play for Philly anymore.
Yeah, well, he was quiet with the Brewers.
Yeah, he was 0 for 9.
He was very quiet.
Yeah.
But with the Phillies, he had a
Oh,
big
yeah.
moment there.
Here's the key for me. I think the Mets starters have done such a good job this year, or particularly in the second half of giving innings. Can the bullpen be trusted?
I
I'm
mean,
going to sit here and say I think there are parts of this bullpen that can be trusted. Here's the key: is David Peterson a guy who's going to be in this bullpen? Because if he is, all of
do
a sudden you got a lefty reliever.
do you want him in the bullpen is the question. Does Mendoza want him in the bullpen?
Here's going to be my answer. Because I thought he was getting the ball today.
Mm.
And then I hear he's not getting the ball tomorrow. And then I don't see a reason why you take the ball away from Minaya or Quintana in 3 or 4. He's got to be the guy on standby in those games. He might be on standby today if Senga can't give you more than 4 innings.
Sort of like the long man, the traditional long man.
Bulk, yeah. Or you can use him in a big spot against Schwarber or Harper. Lefty it up. So I'm very interested to see how Mendoza utilizes Peterson
Yeah.
in that role. But man, we got 4 great divisional series.
Oh my God.
3 of them are actually division rivals, so it works. Oh, it's a great day of baseball.
Oh, dude. Oh man.
One other note, and then we'll cut this. Terry Francona was named the next
How about
manager of the
that?
Cincinnati Reds.
I thought he was done.
Yeah,
I
one
thought,
year
you know
after
what? I thought, you know
retiring.
what? He was just too sick. And look, he had a lot of health problems.
Yeah, if he's healthy, I love it.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, Terry Francona is, you know, one of the greatest managers I've ever watched.
Yep.
And, you know, he's a great guy. You know, everyone loves him. I think the Reds would be stoked to have him. I
Now
think they'll be
go
stoked.
out and spend some money.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. You got to put a good product out there. Tito can only do so much with a mediocre at best team.
Yeah.
No,
So we'll go more in depth on the Reds and stuff during the offseason, but we did want to highlight Terry
Yeah.
Francona.
That's a tremendous hire.
Yeah.
And
So
he stays in Ohio. So,
it's true.
maybe he's just making it his home.
Maybe he's a big Buckeyes fan. Who knows? All right. That'll do it for the Division Series preview here of Batter Up, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. Check us out on the socials, Facebook, Twitter at SInsanityReal. Go to the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Or if you like us that much while you're watching this, we're on YouTube. You like our mugs? Like, subscribe, comment, do that stuff too.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
and always get notifications as well just by hitting that bell.
boom.
Danny Boy, Mike Rifkin, we appreciate you. We love you. Let's go Yankees. And Rifkin, I want the Mets to win because I'm tired of Philly.
I'm tired of Philly too.
You
So
know.
let's go Mets. All right. We'll talk to y'all soon. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy the day of baseball.
Take